welcome to the latest episode of the Terrace Podcast. I am your host, Craig Fowler, a happier man than the last time you heard from me and any of the rest of the guys, because Scotland followed up their embarrassing opening match, the 5-1 defeat to Germany, with a very much deserved, in fact you could even say we deserved all 3 points, a 1-1 draw against Switzerland, which, well, not the greatest result we could have got, at the very least, was an important one because it means that we go into the last game against Hungary with something to play for. If we get 3 points, then it seems almost certain that we will qualify for the next round and advance past the group stages in international tournament football for the first time ever. To help me, and to basically carry this podcast as we were recording it the day after the Switzerland game, which I had a very good time watching in the fan zone in Cologne, maybe too good a time. I'm joined by Craig Anderson. Craig, you were at the match?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was.
How was the atmosphere? How was the occasion, first and foremost?
Brilliant. I would say the pre-match was, for me in the stadium, better in Munich, but obviously the atmosphere through the match was much better in this one on account of us not being done in like 20 minutes. And the Swiss fans were noisy, and there was a lot of them as well. So it was a really good one, and the stadium was brilliant. It was like I've been at 3 of the stadiums. The Allianz was good, but kind of modern corporate feel stadium. Then I was at Dusseldorf, France v Austria the other night, and it's cool, kind of a bit like Ibrox, I think. And then how you describe the Cologne one, but they more had the old school stadium feel, very steep, very kind of grand, and it was good. And
like Tynecastle,
like a very deluxe Tynecastle, I suppose. But it was brilliant, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And as you said, a better showing from Scotland.
Yeah, certainly was. What do you think were, without getting on to the kind of individual players, because we'll talk about a few of them, just from a kind of team mentality kind of aspect, what do you think the big changes were? To me, like, I'm not going to be able to offer the most searing of analysis for this one, but I was kind of struck by just how much kind of better we were at pressing as a team. But then it was, did you notice that as well? And were there any other kind of aspects of the game that you kind of picked up on?
To be honest, I thought the first half performance wasn't brilliant. I thought you're right, we were pressing harder, but I felt like they did get through that front press quite a lot, but then the defence... There
was one in particular where they created a chance through passing it through our press, and it was like almost a brilliant goal.
Yes, it was actually some move. We had some good ones as well, but so the press was better, but they still beat it a few times. But actually, I thought we can talk about faults with the defenders, but the defensive shape was miles better in this game. Like, the back three held the line pretty well. The wing backs defensively were where you wanted them to be. Again, we'll get on to one of them in particular and whether he did what he wanted them to do when he was there. But the shape was much better. Angus Gunn had a much better game, which helps in terms of like commanding things. You can question a couple of things he did, and I think to be honest, I think the biggest difference between that game and the Germany game was that we were playing far worse opponents as well. I do think I was at the game in Munich, and it was depressingly bad. Like, I'm pretty upbeat in general about Scotland, and even sometimes when you take a bit of a doing, you can take some positives, like the Dutch game, for example. But that Germany game was so flat. We sat so deep, we sat far away from them, and we didn't get in their faces. And whether that was just meant to be a short-term thing, and then we just didn't get the chance to come out of it. I think that was the case. Last night, we were more in their faces. We did. I think it's definitely been a deliberate plan to slow games down and to shorten games. I think Clark knows that we're maybe one of the leggier teams at the tournament. I don't think we've got the energy that other teams do anymore, especially with the injuries and the guys that we've been missing, the fitness issues. So I think there has been a bit of a sustained plan, because even at 0-0 at 1 each, felt like we were taking our time over throw-ins, taking our time. And I don't think it's time wasting so much as it's just making sure we get breathers. So it was just stuff like that. And I think Switzerland were fine, but I think a lot of it was down to not playing quite as good a team. A standard, the team that were more used to kind of holding their own with. second half performance, so I thought was far better all round. And yeah, as you said, I think Switzerland probably started to settle for the draw because they're all but through now. But at the same time,
I'm sure I said that on the last show. I've been saying it in person to everybody. Like, I was just like, absolute certainty it's going to be a draw on Wednesday. And I mean, yeah, definitely taking that before the game. Just I know we should kind of want to get 2 victories or to at least give ourselves a victory. So that means we just need a draw against Hungary. But just like when you're looking at the possibility of being almost out after 2 games, like that was the reality. If we'd lost that, we'd have to go and pump on Hungary to have any chance of getting through in goal difference as one of the better third place teams, and we don't pump anybody. So it was just, we basically would have been out. So it was just good to eventually just get the result. How was it like to celebrate the goal inside the stadium?
Yeah, brilliant, because I wasn't even. I'd left the stadium by the time we scored against Germany, only because I never do that, but only because I knew it was going to be absolutely chaos.
Yeah, I left the fans on early as well, because I was like, solid waiting, having waited in so many queues while I was there already. I was like solid waiting in more queues after we'd just been absolutely gulled.
But yes, it was incredible, and I was there with Craig Cairns, and so we were going daft. We were in the neutral area, so we were in. There were Swiss fans round about. It was a problem, but the Scotland fans were going daft, and we could see the away end, like the away end, the Scotland end, looked incredible. Like it's that again, that big steep stadium, so it's just like a big wall of people, and yeah, it was. Especially good because I think it was one of those goals where you were pretty certain there was not going to be a VAR on it. There was nothing. Sometimes something lingers in my mind of like, ooh, that might be, Even McGregor's goal with the last Euros, I thought Dykes had maybe committed a foul edge of the box that game, so I was a wee bit subdued. Whereas with this one, I was like, right, this is our goal. I actually thought the most low key celebrator in the stadium was McTominay, like compared to what he's sometimes like. I suppose they initially didn't give him it in the stadium because I think Germany domestically, is it Germany or Italy? No, it's Italy that do that, but
any deflection
don't go. Was it going in if it didn't take the deflection? Maybe not, but would it have been a goal? If, because the keeper would have saved it. The goal against Spain was like that as well. The first one, the deflection beats the goalkeeper, but it's still on target. It's his goal and deserved for it. I thought he was Scotland's best player last night, McTominay. Everything he didn't do against Germany, but the atmosphere was great, and it was bouncing for that goal, and even to be honest, the Swiss goal didn't dampen it afterwards, but it was definitely noisy, definitely good to be able to celebrate a goal that might matter.
Even though he played well in both games against Spain as a kind of number 8 position, I do think that McTominay's just a lot better when he's just pushed into those advanced roles rather than playing the sitting role with McGregor. And I think, even though he was fluctuating, I would say, Gilmore, because he had moments, he had some very, very bad passes, especially the first half. Second half, I think he settled down a bit more. But the first half, it was like he was either doing something really good, because he did launch like an early counter, or he was just like playing something wild and went straight to a Swiss player.
I feel like Gilmore was taking on a lot of responsibility because nobody else in the team was able to fucking pass the ball for times, like especially the defenders. Like, so he was constantly. I feel he was trying to take risks. I don't mind it. I fully understood why he wasn't playing against Germany, because I think he wanted to replicate the Spain setup for both of those games that did work against that standard opposition. But I think as it turns out, like having a player that can put their foot on the ball and is calm in possession and wants the ball and demands it. If your defenders aren't good at passing, well, let's have someone that can drop in and take it and doesn't mind getting it off them. But yeah, I liked his performance, Gilmore, and I think I don't think it's a mistake Clark will make again in terms of leaving him out for a game, because I think he's just a class player. He's just like the type of. It's been quite clear to me watching us at this level that there are lots of guys that are just not quite up to it in terms of the football side of things, mainly in the defence. And so it was good to have someone where you went like, you belong at this level of football, this style of football. Because I was at the France-Austria game the other night, and watching that French midfield, you're like, we are miles off this. Like, but Gilmore at least he's maybe not there yet, but you can see that I think he is going to be that player, and you'll be like building a team around him if he shouldn't be already.
So probably just stick with some of the kind of positives for now, and then we'll talk about some of the negatives, and including the equalising goal. But Adams, I think somebody that's justified his selection when a lot of people were thinking and sort of calling for Lawrence Shankland to be used instead. That's kind of the Adams performance that we've kind of come to expect for Scotland a bit more, not necessarily being a huge goal threat, but just playing well with his back to goal, coming deep, linking with play, playing balls around the corners, and just kind of helping the attack flow quite well.
Yeah, he was getting his body in a lot better, and he felt very leggy against Germany. It felt like he was like there were balls that he wasn't chasing or wasn't able to chase. And there were a couple of times where he was tracking back right at the start of the game, and I thought, well, you are not. Maybe it was like, I'm the centre forward, I don't actually need to track the fullback 50 yards into my own half. I was like, you're kind of half-arsing this, and I was like, I probably was just tactical. But like as the game grew on, I thought he got better and better, and he won quite a lot in the air. He got himself about. He's never going to be a Dykes, but unlike the other night where he just got swallowed alive and it was correctly taken off at half time, he put himself about, he got involved, he set up. I saw someone, because there was calls I saw online for Shankland why he'd not been on earlier, but I saw someone saying his job's to score goals. The centre forward in this team's job isn't to score goals, it's to create goals. So, yes. And I don't even mean create goals by making the assist, I mean by being about. And
it's just even like last night's game, there were points where we had quite a lot of the ball and therefore kind of a bit more of the territory, but we are still, against most teams at this level, we're going to be fancied to be the team that sits in a bit more and doesn't have a lot of possession. And you're talking about Shankland, like, that's just so different to like how his club team, where it's like dominating, like most games dominating so much of the territory. And he's got a good goal record certainly against Celtic, and I think he scored last time against Rangers anyway. But so he does have the ability to score goals and create stuff at nothing in against tougher opponents, but just like overall, I just think that Adams is just a better fit for this team.
Yeah, and I think that for me, the reason Shankland's in the squad is if you need a goal, you put him on. If you need the goal, and I mean, he came on because Adams was done, and maybe they thought he could sniff something out, and he put himself about quite well in the 4 minutes he was on the park. But I felt if it was going to be a different striker from the start, it would probably have ended up being Conway, not Shankland, because I think Clark wanted to try Shankland and wanted him. I have a feeling he wanted him to be his man for these games.
Yeah.
And then I don't think he did enough. The Dutch game, I thought he played all right, actually, even though he missed a big chance. I don't think that will matter, but I thought the Finland game, I thought it was dreadful. It somehow won man of the match in the stadium. He did score, which fair enough. But
did very well for him.
Yeah, but so I wasn't expecting to see him, and I actually was slightly surprised he was a sub, but as I say, fair enough. And to me, Adams, I thought he was going to get dropped after getting taken off at half time against Germany, after how he played against Germany. If Dykes was about, then he would have started that game. I think the plan would have originally been the other way around. I'm sure Dykes would have started Germany and he might have been Adams for this one, but he was so poor. But no, I think he's probably not going to score a goal at the tournament, although he did have that good chance at the back post that he took quite nicely. The set pieces were good. It was obviously the publicised spat, if you want to call it, but the execution of the set pieces wasn't always great, but there were good ideas in amongst there, and they're definitely playing about with the offside line. And I don't know if it was seen on the telly, but the Germany game, one of the free kicks we had out wide, John McGinn stood in the goal. Right. And then basically waited until the corner came to the back post and then stepped out to be there for like the knock across. It didn't work, but like, these kind of ideas were there. So there was things to like about that. I think we will be a team that we've not scored a set piece goal yet, but the Germany goal was, but
so was I.
It feels like
scored for us.
Yeah, that was the other thing. If we didn't have a single corner in the Germany game, and I think we had about 3 in the first 5 minutes last night, and so it was just stuff like that you just kind of felt a bit more positive about.
So actually, I was going to move on to negatives now, but I just remembered that you mentioned Angus Gunn playing well earlier. I think he had a very good performance, and at a point where Like, his club form's not been going that great. He didn't say what, it wasn't good at all by any stretch of the imagination against Germany. But he comes up with a good one there. And I did think, I kind of felt like the rhetoric around him was kind of writing him off maybe a little bit too early. Like, because you can understand why. Because he doesn't have the greatest of pedigrees. But at the same time, like, until the Germany match, when does he ever let Scotland down? And I know it's not the hugest of sample sizes, but he always has looked quite good for the national team. And who knows? Like, yeah, I know he's actually English, but his dad's a Scotland international himself. And is he actually? Was he?
Yeah, was he? Yeah.
International himself, and I mean, a guy who's absolutely buzzing that he's starting to play for Scotland, and I'm sure Angus will be feeling that. And maybe it's just a case he's one of these guys that plays better for the national team than he does for his club.
Yeah, I think, because I think there's definitely distinctions to be made with it. There are players who've played for Scotland who've been born in England who have like basically no connection to the country, as in their gran was born here and moved to England when she was 3.
I don't know why, but always like Matt Ritchie's always the one that comes to my mind. And it's like somebody who looks like he can barely be arsed half the time. And I felt that was true for him. But like Gunn, he was born in England because his dad played in England. He could have and obviously at some point wanted to play for England, but I don't have any doubt that he very passionately represented Scotland there. And I don't think he's that good, Gunn, but he's better. He's the best goalkeeper we have available. He's probably going to be the best goalkeeper we have available. I don't think it's even like an argument over like him and Clark. I just think he's better than Clark. He's better at a lot of the basics than Clark is in terms of like when balls are hit right at him. I didn't fancy Angus Gunn to save them, like and with no issues, like no kind of spilling it out to like a forward or anything. He just seems to just have that. There seems to be a bit more kind of. Just I feel a bit more confident in him when it's just kind of doing the basics than I do with Clark, who can make some very good saves and maybe is a wee bit better than Gunn in that regard. But I still don't think I think Rob said in the chat like Clark saves those shots against Germany. I was like, well, sure he saved the first one.
I mean, Clark was bad against Norway, I thought, and I think I was saying to Craig Cairns on the way out to the game, like before the tournament, I was pretty sure Gunn would play every single game. There's no doubt about it. And then after the other night, I'm like, I expected Gunn to start, but you're like, there's a wee doubt in your mind to say Willie. But no, I was surprised because I saw he was. I just looked at online at half time, and there was a couple of folk kind of questioning, and I can only assume it was for the disallowed goal where he kind of comes out and the boy kind of tucks it around him. Is it Kanji? I think that scored it. I can't remember, but. Apart from that, like, he had a really big save when it was Tierney got turned inside out, I think, and he kind of got outstretched out. He had a couple of less massive saves, and generally we defended set pieces really well last night. And a goalkeeper's, even if he's not the one coming out and punching, is quite important to that. So I was much happier with that performance from him.
So let's get on the negatives now. So the equalising goal, great finish.
Incredible goal. With two Euros in a row, we have been beaten by what could be the goal of the tournament.
Yeah, brilliant finish. But Tony Ralston, what are you doing? If you don't know what to do with it, kick it away.
It was like one of those it's something I talk about quite a lot. Like an accumulation of errors, and everyone gets worse. So it's like. Gilmore gets given a pretty dodgy pass from Hanley. The pass Gilmore gives to Ralston is fine for a normal player, but Ralston's probably not going to deal with it that well. And then the fundamental error comes from it. It's like that. See, when it's all getting a bit scrappy in there, that's the point where you're like, right, we're already a bit ragged here. Let's just and I am shit. It's what Anthony Ralston should be thinking most of the time when he's on. I know that's maybe counterproductive.
Yeah, I don't think that's good. I think confidence is very important.
An awareness of your abilities is perhaps
an awareness of your limitations.
Yeah, exactly. Just get rid of it. He did get rid of it. He just got rid of it in quite the wrong way. And Hanley tries his best to get back, but it's it's a brilliant finish. It was coming across both games that our defence, we're trying to play it out from the back, and that's admirable, and it is the way you suck a team out. And we had the goal was a really nice counter, and we sucked them a couple of times, and there was a really nice move. in the just before half time that reminded me of the very much memed one against Denmark, where we just like suddenly like it was
the Adams goal.
It wasn't a goal. It was I don't think it was a goal. It was like a move that we had, and it was like 5 passes, and we just like played right through them. And I think we ended up it was being this block shot or something.
Yeah.
But, in fact, Robertson ended up with a chance, I think. But the one, so there is benefits to passing out, but we saw already in the first, before that goal, we had both Hendry and Hanley had played back passes out for corners.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck are you up to? Like, and then that kind of compounded it. Those 3 players cannot pass the ball well enough to play that system. People think Jack Hendry can pass the ball. He can't pass the ball. He's very composed on the ball. He dribbles really nicely. He looks, for all the world, like he should be able to pass the ball. But when you actually ask him to pass the ball, he's not very good at it. And they know that. Other teams know that.
Nobody was really bothered at all when he was cut from the squad because he's not like.
I don't think
he's not that great a player, but John Suter actually, you're kind of looking at that now going, he maybe done a better job in that position.
I don't know if he was fit because he hadn't played for Rangers and stuff.
That
might have been a consideration, but because I think it would have been down to him and Cooper, and as much as Cooper's a big part of the squad,
but a big presence, big personality.
Suter would always have been more likely to get on the park because Cooper's like 3rd choice for the left-sided position.
We'll get to that very soon.
But I think Porteous is the one that he would have had, and he does have in the team to try and progress the ball because he's a better passer of the ball. But obviously he wasn't available. So it was coming like that, and it was trying to pass the ball when you're not good at it is such a risky way to play it, and there are times where it can work, but I just think we were 1-0 up. It was getting a bit scrappy, not the time to play the pass.
Yeah.
And Ralston, I thought for the rest of the half was affected. He was poor before, but he was really affected by it.
Yeah. He did improve in the second half.
Especially from an attacking point of view, where he won so many headers. Obviously, it was a tactic he used to use with O'Donnell quite a lot, where he would hit him with a diagonal, and Ralston was winning a lot in the air. He got himself out wide. He was, his crossing wasn't great, but he was winning corners, or he was finding, just playing the ball safe back to Gilmore, and he was keeping attacks going. 1v1, he was getting beat every time, as he was the other night, and I think we didn't do enough defensively to stop him being 1v1. I thought Hendry should have been out a lot more quickly to help him with that, and Gilmore didn't necessarily do it. When Kenny McLean came on, he was much better at filling in that gap and making sure they didn't have the 1v1 on him. As was pointed out, the chance where he gets, not far from the end, where he gets skinned and kind of falls over, if they score from that rather than bending it wide as I think it went, he would have got flagged for the second half performance as well. But fundamentally, he was much better. It's a tricky position because everyone knows that he is a distant third choice in that position. However, I do still think he's the best of a very bad bunch in that position.
There's not really, especially the fact that he did bounce back. Like he makes that mistake, and then you could, like as you said, he was rattled for the rest of the half, and his head's up his arse. But then he recovers, and that's the kind of positive. So to take him out of the team now, because there's no guarantee whatsoever that Ross McCrory is going to be any better. So you bring in McCrory, and he might need a half or a game to find his feet, and we don't have that luxury now.
I thought we would end up with McCrory starting the tournament, to be honest, but then I thought McCrory didn't really play that well in Gibraltar, like on the ball especially, and that's like that's about the easiest potential opponent you could get to kind of ease yourself in, and he didn't do it. And then with that all being said, at that point, Ralston, you were pretty sure, because I thought Ralston had a pretty good game against Finland in the again a much lesser standard opposition than what we were playing at the tournament. You thought, right, he's going to come and play this tournament. He's not the best. Like, he's not that good. He can't get good for Celtic. It's not like he's in rotation at Celtic. It's like he's only playing if Johnson's not fit.
He's very much the backup.
And you can see why, but at the same time, he's played enough games at a decent level. He was first choice for a spell at Celtic, where he played under Postecoglou a few times. It's not like he's not at some points he must have 100, 150 games for Celtic under his belt without checking, and mostly in a league winning team.
He laughed at me, man.
Exactly. Well, in that when they got beat 7-1 in that game, I think.
I think it was 5.
They did also ship 7 to Barcelona on the PSG in one of those seasons, or maybe both. But you're talking about McCrory, and then the guy. If you're thinking like Forrest, the other one who has theoretical ability to play that position, but aside from it, when Ralston was literally offering nothing defensively either, you're like, well, maybe you would be just as well having Forrest on here in the sense that but at the same time, Forrest is...
As I said in the chat, the hill I'm willing to die on is that Danny Armstrong should have been in the squad.
But well, he could have been in the squad, but I don't think you can... The step up is really high. The step up in I think it's easy to underestimate. You're going from playing against
Yes, but what I was thinking about this earlier, and I don't know whether this is actually the answer, but I was thinking if Celtic have Danny Armstrong and Tony Ralston on the team and they're playing a game with a back three and need a wing back, who are they picking out of the two? I was like, it probably would be Armstrong.
Oh yeah, but for Celtic when you've got 80% I like him. I mean, he's brilliant. He's been probably one of the best Kelly players of the last 15, 20 years. But
as you inside, he's been the best winger.
Yeah, absolutely. But we voted him as such.
Yeah, he's the best attacker midfielder.
But I mean, his deliveries are brilliant, and that wouldn't change at a higher standard. But he's not the best defensively. He works hard. He's not the best defensively anyway, and that's playing against Scottish Premiership players to be then going against guys from Bundesliga, Serie A. So you've got that issue, and I think it's what we've been talking about. If you have really good wing back options, you can maybe afford a guy who's a bit more of a winger in that position. But we don't. I mean, Hickey and that team makes such a big difference because he's you're not in. Apart from anything, they're not just targeting that side of the park because you're like, oh, this guy is very, very good. But
I should probably get on to Hickey's a huge miss, and we should probably get on to the question of do we change the shape? Because before we get to that question, actually, we should probably talk about Kieran Tierney gutted for him. It's just.
It didn't seem like it was related to the other injuries he always has either. It felt like was it a twist of the knee or something?
I'm not sure, but it looks like if you're getting taken off on a stretch, you have to assume that his tournament is over regardless of how far Scotland
back to the final. Never know.
Untwist that knee. It's just this is just what's kind of hampered him ever since he left Celtic. Is he just gets injured all the time, and it's multiple things. So there's just no. You just assume there's not going to be any fix for it.
Yeah, and it was. I don't think he had his best game actually, but you know what he can offer to the team. You know that as an attacking sense, the ability to overlap Robertson or underlap Robertson and get up the park, but also defensively, he doesn't really get beat 1-on-1. He doesn't lose that much in the air for a wee guy, relatively wee for a defender. He's probably 6 foot, but he's wee for a defender.
Yeah.
Definitely physically wee, and. He's solid, so you lose a lot from an attacking point of view, and you lose a lot of dependability because he's the only one in the back three that's actually of the level.
Yeah,
fundamentally.
Yeah, no, and you talked about it in terms of playing out to the back.
Yeah, he can do it.
We've lost our best ability to do that now. If you play him with Scott McKenna played well.
He was very good when he came on.
But if you're going to be playing out for the back, he's got better since his Aberdeen days, but he's not Kieran Tierney.
He's dribbles out to the back well, McKenna. I think because he's so big, people don't really come near him. And he did that. He did it more than Tierney in the time, and maybe Tierney would have started doing it later on in the game. But
so that's the question: do you change system or do you keep the same shape? Because you lose a lot between the two of them. But if McKenna is going to be willing to just get himself in that side, and we talk about Scotland all the time, chaos. Him charging up is
a gazelle.
Almost feels like the kind of definition of Scottish chaos.
I think we did it with Cooper at the last Euros against the Czech Republic, and that didn't work because Cooper's not got any ability on the ball. He's a very solid defender. McKenna, maybe then, like you said, I think he's got better as a player. I do think McKenna played the left-sided one away to Spain. Obviously a very different type of performance, but he was good at it in that game. I think, given that it's not as though the midfield has got guys that are like desperately screaming out to be included, if you know what I mean. It's not like someone's like, if Lewis Ferguson was about and you're like, oh, you could get him in that midfield as well. At the moment, it's more like other guys that could be dropped in the midfield. So it's like, do you really need to put an extra one in when you can just... And
as I said in the last show, like, also it's still just a question of who do we play like wide? Like if we're going to go 4, who the hell do we play wide?
Well, you just end up with 5 central midfielders in the team instead of 4.
Armstrong on like the left and...
Yeah, or I mean Morgan maybe. So no, I think he probably sticks with you. If he doesn't stick with the 3 and he plays the 2, it has to be Hanley that drops out, because Hanley's not worth it to play in a 2. He can play in a 3. I don't know what it is, but he's not... for Scotland, I've never seen him being particularly good in a pair.
That's because it was shit teams, though, I don't know. Maybe he was actually at fault himself.
He was a calming presence in that defence, but I think McKendry and Henna is McKenna and Hendry are the natural.
Henna tattoo.
Yeah. they would be to me the natural pairing for a 4, but I don't think he'll play a 4. I think he'll stick with it. I don't think there was enough positives to take from last night. It gets Robertson higher up the park. I thought he was fairly good. He wasn't amazing, but you could see him growing into that game, and you can see his fitness levels like standing out in terms of he was the one. It was a really lovely pass watching it back from McGregor that set up a really good chance, or a half chance anyway at the end. I think, if you want a bold prediction, I think Andy Robertson's going to score or set up the winning goal against Hungary from that kind of position.
Good. Grant Hanley, as I said before the game last night, Grant Hanley was going to be the hero he wasn't. So I'll just roll over that prediction.
We'll wait and see. It could be both. We could both be right.
Could you maybe make an argument for the 4 and that it would actually get us to have John McGinn in his best position?
He could. McGinn's a weird one, I think, because he's always been like this, where he's hardly ever actually involved in the game, and then he is, and then like suddenly gets the ball. I
suppose if you're going to do that anyway, like I just said, you could just move him back there in a 3, but obviously you want the McGregor-Gilmore combination.
Yeah, it's interesting with that, because I thought Kenny McLean was very, very good when he came on. I don't know that he has the legs to start a game like this, but he's probably given himself to think about. McGregor had some really good moments. He obviously set up the goal, but that was itself a bad pass to McTominay. As I said, the wee pass over the top for Robertson for that chance at the end is really good. Him and Gilmore were the ones keeping the ball when we got really panicky. So there are benefits to McGregor, but I think we are seeing potentially the passing over of the baton of the midfield to Gilmore in terms of being McGregor's been the guy that's always played on the park, whereas and Gilmore has when he's been available, but he's had injuries, he's had off the field issues, etc.
I don't think it mattered at all, but I think it was a mistake. It's got to the point now where if you're going to drop one of them, you drop
absolutely. I agree. Now, I
think it went too much with experience.
I wouldn't have said that before the Germany game, because I think McGregor has been probably the best long-running, consistent player for Clark through the end. If you start from when we started playing the back 3. So you're talking about that Israel qualifier, the Nations League game at home. I think they withdrew.
Right, before then, call a spade a spade. I thought McGregor's
I agree.
But then, since then, he's been consistently very good.
To me, man of the match in the game in Belgrade, and a bunch of other, if it wasn't Declan Gallagher, and there've been a bunch of other good performances. But yeah, that might be. He's definitely got something to offer still, and I hope he's not. He's still about, but I do think it's no longer that he's a guaranteed starter. McGinn, I don't think you drop him. I know that there's been people arguing for it, but to me, if you get to any point in the game where the ball falls to someone 18 yards from goal, that's who you want in the team.
I don't think it's one of those situations where the manager is kind of almost a bit oblivious to how poorly, like when the kind of star, quote-unquote, star players are playing. I think Clark knows that McGinn is not playing that well because he's pushed in a position that's unfamiliar for him. But I think Clark sees it, and he's probably very correct in this, that he sees it as a necessary sacrifice to get some more goal-scoring ability into the team.
We don't have creative players. We don't have... And that's not like... I don't think there are glaring creative players who are good enough to this level that aren't in the squad. So it's like, I mean, you mentioned it's like Armstrong and Gold, who are like second-tier league players, if you know what I mean. We've not got a single creative attacking player who's playing in any good league across Europe. Like, so... But I think that's why Doku's in the squad. He's quick and he's maybe got that originally. But so you're very much kind of poking about that. So why not just get the physical guys and the guys who, I mean, he does have that ability to score. The two attacking midfielders that he picks have turned up consistently with goals. I think the two top goal scorers under Clark now. I think McTominay went level with Dykes last night. Which says it all about how the team wants to play, and it is really about building a base for that. And then I think your foremost attacking players in this setup are always going to be the striker, those two attacking midfielders, and Robertson, and you're getting that out of them. And I think that's what's going to win you games. Mm-hmm. We're not going to win games by anyone else beating or outplaying our opposition. Maybe Ryan, given the theme of the tournament, Ryan Christie pinging something in from 30 yards is possible, but it's going to be set pieces, or it's going to be like physical stuff like that. And I think we'll have to think about this with Hungary. They're going to be desperate. They need to win the game. They also potentially need to win heavily. Yeah. So we probably need to be patient.
Yes, completely. I said that last night. I was like, against Hungary, we're probably actually going to have to sit in the first half hour and try and frustrate them off, and try and kind of break their spirit. Yeah. I think to pick them off and to just basically frustrate them, and if they don't get a goal in that time, they're going to go, well, this isn't our day, kind of thing, and then allow us to then kind of dominate the game.
Well, that's if they end up realising, even see if we go 1-0 up in the game and it's getting towards the end, and they are most likely going to start going, this is fucked. Like we're not going to score twice. They might, but so that might be the situation we get ourselves into. But it's hard to tell. But I think the team probably won't change that much. I don't think there's enough.
McKenna for Tierney, I think that'll be it.
It could be it, or if it's one midfield change, it's one midfield change, and I don't know. It could be Christie for McGregor, for example, but I don't think he'll do that.
Yeah. No, I think he'll still win the Gilmore and McGregor have worked very well together, so I wouldn't change that.
And it means we can hopefully keep the ball better because they are the two best at that. I'm just mainly pleased that I think there was a lot of people kind of saying, we're the worst team at the tournament and all this type of stuff, like because we got pumped. But actually, we're basically now in the same position we'd have been if we lost 1-0 to Germany.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Well, we are because that goal difference.
I don't think 4 points is going to. Goal difference with Switzerland, if we win, is the only thing for finishing second. Yeah. To be honest, as long as we get through in third place, I would actually rather finish third because I think the last 16 game would be easier. I think if we finish second, we play Spain or Italy, and if we finish third, then it's a winner of another group. Yeah. None of them I think are as good as Spain or Italy. Once you rule Germany, if it was France, maybe that's the exception. But
we can't play England, can we?
I don't think we can, but that would be unpleasant also.
No thanks.
But yes, I wouldn't be taking the risk on that. If we can finish second, we should absolutely be trying to finish second.
It's now at the stage where goal difference is very, very, very likely to be irrelevant.
And we have put ourselves in a position where we know what we need to do. We're not worrying about, again, barring that weird goal difference, barring Switzerland taking a pumping and that being a chance to finish second, we don't really need to care about what's going on in another game. And we can just go out. We know what we're trying to do. We've shown, I think, that even though the performance had its flaws, it's done a lot for our confidence. Because, as I say, I was nervous and everything about the Germany game. And to be honest, I didn't feel very much yesterday because I was like, it kind of knocked the stuffing out of me a wee bit in terms of the football side of things. So I was like, I'm not really sure what we're going to get here. Whereas that brought me back around to be like this is what this team's about, given who was missing and given like what the hand we've now been dealt.
Yeah.
But we are the lowest ranked like FIFA rankings and stuff team in the group. I don't think that's necessarily reflective, and I think the qualifying campaign showed what we very much can be capable of. But at the same time, we're doing well to be competitive, I think, and we're still making those strides. Like Switzerland, like Shaqiri scored yesterday, scored in each of the last 6 major tournaments. The only player that's done that. That's what we're up against. Is guys that have been doing this type of stuff for years. Some of these guys have played in 2 tournaments. Most of them have played in 2 tournaments, and some of them are playing in their first. You don't get this, so we need to just hopefully sneak through.
Yeah.
And then use it as a springboard. Maybe get a World Cup. That would be ideal. And obviously the next Euros. And suddenly someone like Gilmore, especially I think of the younger members of the squad, you're mainly looking Gilmore. You would say Tierney, but who knows with him. Porteous, he will be back. I think people have been writing him off too easy just from one issue. But he's only a young centre half. But these types of players.
Porteous needs to get his act together. Coldwell, I think, would be my main concern.
But these guys become a core that are at tournaments regularly, and then when you're going to your 3rd and your 4th tournament, and it's no longer exciting. It's just like, yeah, of course, I'm here to do this, and there's no nonsense, there's no noise about it, and that's the position we want to be in. Very few Scotland teams have ever been in that position. Like the teams that got to World Cups all the time never qualified for Euros, and then I think the closest we had is maybe there were a few guys that went in 92, 96 and 98, but most players are going to 1 or 2 tournaments max, and that doesn't help. So even if we fall short, I do think we'll win. I'm now come round to that if we don't win, we will draw. I think we'll be in it here. But if we don't, it's about building something. Even if it ends up being long term, it's like rather than just being happy to be there, which I don't think they've played that they're happy to be there. But there's got to be a subconscious of like it being new and exciting, because even though, as I said, the guys have played the
first game they shot themselves.
But also even like some of the players played in the previous one, but the previous one was like so different in how it was arranged that.
Yeah, even for the players, it was like half empty-handed for the first game.
And maybe the next one will be a bit weird anyway because we'll be at home again. But it's but like, I just think they've done enough to show that they can compete at this level with a team that have been about. I think Switzerland are living on experience rather than necessarily being a particularly good team.
But you also see you saw Hungary were. Like Germany were very kind of, I thought, quite ruthless against Hungary, and they kind of showed that showed the gap in quality. But Hungary were good. Like Hungary played well against Germany, and Hungary were for 80% of the game, 85% of the game against Switzerland. But 80% of the game against Switzerland were just so far off it. Switzerland was a much better team, and then I would say we were the better team against Switzerland. So it's just that's to offer something vacuous. That's football, baby.
Yeah, that is, and I think we can't argue with the position we've ended up in. I think it's a position lots of people might have thought we would be in before the tournament, maybe in a different manner, maybe an agonising 2-1 defeat to Germany rather than what we got.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
We've set it up. I don't think you can ask for more than that. I don't think we're ever just going to go out and pat our teams. When you look at folk have talked about Wales and Northern Ireland and all the rest of them, they've tended to get through these groups on 4 points when they've got through groups. Yeah. So 4 points is always what you thought we would probably want to be getting, or even at points you might have thought, well, maybe we can sneak through on 3. Obviously, that's now impossible because we can't get to 3. No. But you and Taylor did raise the point that it's not completely impossible that we could get through with 2 points, which would be very funny. I think
in football history we're due some sort of lucky thing.
Because the Croatia Albania one, if Spain and Italy beat both of them, that'll be a 1 point group, and then you just need one more. It's probably not going to happen, but
I like this. It
would be incredibly funny if basically we draw that game and the players are starting to think about heading home, and then all of a sudden we're not. But let's not leave ourselves in that position.
Right, Craig, I think that'll do us. Bloody hell, the length of a normal, regular, Monday Premiership review almost.
That's me because I can't stop talking, you know.
Well, thank you for that, because as people listening and watching could probably know, I'm not in my best shape right now. So, but thank you very much. I hope you still enjoyed that, even with my subpar performance. That
you had a Ralston.
Yes,
you got better as the game went on.
Yes, and you know what happens when the Tony Ralston and Scott McTominay of the Terrace podcast get together. Right, yes, thank you very much for listening. And I think the other thing to say is, listen to the Patreon. We had a preview of the Switzerland game. The plan is for the preview for the Hungary game to also be our Patreon episode. So if you want to listen to that, then subscribe to patreon.com/Terrace Podcast. That'll be on the £2 a month tier with myself and Tony Anderson. Recording and releasing it on Saturday, I would say. At least that's the aim. And then myself and Tony will be back again with a main show that will also go out to the YouTube faithful. That will be after the Hungary match. And hopefully there will be more to come from the Euros, and that won't be it. Although the silver lining for me is that my holidays can start early.
Let's hope not.
I know. It's fine. I'll work right through until next summer, and then basically treat it like it's
burn out like all the players.
Yeah, and then treat it like it's like school holidays when you're a kid. And it's just like weeks of doing nothing. Oh, that's incredible. Right, anyway, Craig, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening.